I want something to be really clear from the beginning. I don't care if it's canon. I will not be silenced any longer. I think GORTASH and the Dark Urge boinked, and it's slowly been driving me insane. Durgetash for the win, baby. These two are evil and loving it. I don't go around making videos for every little sordid ship that I have. In fact, I, by and large, strive to keep these essays separate from my personal shipping content. I'm not even particularly interested in convincing you of the validity of my ship, although I have many examples of why I think it's canon.
I tolerated Orin, but I liked you.
I'm simply sitting in the puddle of sin, and you have consented to going on this trip with me by virtue of watching the rest of this 20 or so minute long video. My fascination is not just that they're an evil power couple, okay? I can get that anywhere. It's not just that there's some weird amalgam of star-crossed enemies to lovers. We're on the same frequency, baby. It's not even that I think it's deeply funny that this grungy, middle-aged glam rocker of a man is in fact a scaly. There's depth to this ship, okay? There's baggage, there's layers. They have power dynamics that I just do not think fandom is appropriately appreciating, and now I'm making it everyone else's problem. To quote me from a far more reputable video that I just cannot stop referencing in my Baldur's Gate content, I'm gonna be so toxic about this. Obviously, this is going to have spoilers. I'm talking about a romance with a villain that doesn't show up until seconds before the final act, and a bunch of character backstory that you don't find out until even later. What do you expect? Also, please, it's really important to me. Please imagine me pacing around my room holding my red blue Yeti. I can't do that because I have to stand still for this voiceover, but that's the energy I'm really wanting to bring to this, and also I didn't want to figure out cameras for this video specifically. Oh my gosh. To understand why this relationship makes me so, we've really got to understand these two losers. This is the Dark Urge. He is my evil little son, and I love him. This boy is so tormented and plagued by the evil thoughts that his father just shoves into his brain on the daily that it literally contorts his entire narrative. This man is built like The Rock, and yet all he rocks is an 8 strength. And very important fact, this is very, very important. The camera really, really, really wants you to carnally desire this Dragonborn. I do not carnally desire this Dragonborn. I don't care if you do. But I can perceive how badly LARIAN wants me to carnally desire the Dragonborn. And that is also funny! The Dark Urge is the first and only pure-blooded Baal spawn. Rather than being a distant descendant of Baal, a la literally every other Baal spawn in the game/series, the Dark Urge was cut from Baal— oh gosh, don't touch that. The Dark Urge was cut from Baal's own flesh. How did he do that? It does not matter. What's more important is that the Dark Urge was specifically made to be Baal's chosen, to conquer the world and to murder every living being. And because the Dark Urge is built different, Baal has actual control over him. While Baal spawn may be afflicted with malicious nightmares and an affinity for murder, the Dark Urge is consumed by Baal's influence. He can affect his behavior and the thoughts in his head, even driving him mad if he so wishes. And this is true even after the Dark Urge receives absurd levels of brain trauma. In fact, there are strong intimations that Orin boinking the Dark Urge on the brain and tadpoling him actually loosened Baal's control over the Dark Urge, which is why the Dirge is able to fully shake off Baal's influence over the course of the game, if he so chooses.
My chosen, my slayer, violence incarnate.
But we're not there yet. Right now, the Dark Urge exists to please Baal. Right now, the Dark Urge defines himself entirely around his obedience to Baal. He named himself after the urges that Baal puts in his head. He fanatically butchers his way through the world. He does whatever his father says. No matter the pain caused, no matter the misery suffered, the Dark Urge does it for his father. He is the perfect, loyal son. His wants are secondary to Baal's wishes, and even then, they always perfectly align. Almost. ENVER GORTASH, by turn, has no elegant history, no glorious purpose, no divine lineage. He is the son of cobblers, and has such a hilariously miserable little life because of course he did. Everything sucks in Baldur's Gate 3.
He was a smart boy. Too smart. It was give him up, and all of us live or refuse and die.
And then independently, he ascended the ranks of society to become Archduke of Baldur's Gate and Bane's Chosen. He is a brilliantly smart inventor, politician, and conniver, and uses those evil little skills to spread fear and tyranny across the world. It is his God-given right and obligation to conquer the world, because he can. I hate him. I'm obsessed with him. I want to shake him in my teeth like a little mouse. And I am a dog that is caught and killed him. That sounds like a really dark, crazy thing for me to say on YouTube, but listen, you probably played Baldur's Gate 3, and you know things are so much worse in the first 5 minutes. Don't mess with me! There is something about this man that unlocks something indescribable in me, that is simultaneously disgusted by everything he is and has done, and also in complete awe and support of those things. I don't think LARIAN wanted us to find him sexy, what with him being permanently dirty, having yellow teeth, and looking like he was punched in the face somewhat recently, not to mention all of this. But they also had him be voiced by Jason Isaacs and gave him anime boy hair, so who really knows?
Indeed you are. Look at you. Cold-blooded as ever.
These people are perverse monsters for giving me this creature, and I will see them before God someday. I'm also dragging Neil Newbon into this.
Careful, old boys. Cheeky little poop.
Because he chose to give GORTASH those delicate little hand gestures when he did his mocap, and that— oh, I punched my desk. Okay. And that man will pay for every second of emotional distress he's brought me, specifically.
Aren't you the intrepid little adventurer, digging and diving where you don't belong?
Why did he do that? Why did you make that choice? Someone get a hold of Neil. Ask him why he did that. I am not well. Now you may look at these people and be like, sure, why not? Who cares? The slaver tyrant and murder Jesus get to boink each other as a little treat. That's not my circle of the internet. I don't care what you do. But you need to understand, this relationship should not work. Shouldn't be allowed. Bottom to top, ENVER GORTASH and the Dark Urge should conflict and defy each other. First of all, they come from drastically, intensely different backgrounds and worldviews. The Dark Urge is the epitome of the divine Nepo baby. Okay. The big issue with this recording is that I'm using words that I normally use to signify things being really serious, and so I'm dropping into a serious tone, and then I read things like the epitome of a divine Nepo baby. And that's a nonsense sentence. The Dark Urge is the epitome of a divine Nepo baby, because everything he does is and wants comes from Baal. He is a sorcerer because of his divine heritage. He was given multiple absurdly powerful tools, powers, and resources by Baal, and he was handed an entire cult, all because Baal decided to play favorites. The Dark Urge works hard. Don't steal glory from my child. He is by all accounts capable and competent prior to the game events, not to mention all of the effort you have to put in to continue supporting Baal throughout the game. Resting on his laurels, this guy is not. But the Dark Urge was given his position, status, identity, and power on a platter. Without Baal, he would be far weaker. Without Baal, he would have no prestige. And without Baal, he wouldn't even exist. GORTASH, meanwhile, came from nothing and then dropped even lower when he was, wait for it, sold as a slave to the devil. He was abandoned, tortured, tormented, and imprisoned, and despite all of that, he still clawed his way up to being the most important man in the city. Everything GORTASH is and has, he had to craft together through blood, sweat, and other people's tears. If you read a lot of the ephemera in the game, you can actually track his rise to prominence, as well as see just how hard he has worked to stay ahead. He's making contingencies, he's betting patriarchs, he's cutting deals with archdevils on the sly. You can make fun of him for his hygiene and his appearance and for being a pompous little censor bleep, and honestly, I encourage you to. This man deserves to be shamed. But it is also factually incorrect to say this man is not hustling every single second he's alive. He's the one that manufactured the absolute plot, from stealing the crown of Karsus to enslaving the Elder Brain. He perfected the plans for the Steel Watch, he kept everyone distracted while he very blatantly concocted intensely evil schemes, and his every second is dedicated to making sure that he succeeds, that he is triumphant, that he will never be subjugated again. Baby girl doesn't even have time to kiss. He had no patron, he had no advisors, he had no trusted allies, he only had himself. Even his god was hardly a factor, as Bane only decided to show favor to GORTASH after he had independently re-established the Baneite church within the city. Even after being made chosen, Bane is an intensely hands-off god, showing limited interest, presence, or even support for GORTASH. Do you see this transformation? Did you catch that there? Do you understand how lackluster and unimpressive it is compared to the unholy abominations the other chosen become? I'm angry about this, and it's been a year. It's been a year. I'm still mad. He looks like the Hulk. I hate it here. Bane does not care about him. It is just GORTASH making his way in this miserable world and still thriving. Speaking of their religious backgrounds, let's talk about the greater implications of the Dark Urge and GORTASH's faith. Shall we? The Dark Urge, although entrenched in deeply evil and off-putting imagery, is inextricably linked to divinity. He is carved from the body of a god, serves the leader of his cult, is burdened with divine, glorious purpose. The Ballists make this whole song and dance about being unholy and perverse and wicked and all of these things, truly reveling in the evil of their ways. But that's a reflection of how dark and edgy they are, rather than a refutation of Baal's divinity. If anything, they're hyping Baal up even higher than he actually is, as he is put on par with the main pantheon, even though he's, like, barely a god. I think he's technically a god. He got demoted really hard. There's a reason nobody likes him. Nobody likes him. Regardless, Baal is a god. He's that side of the spectrum. He is divine. And similarly, the Dark Urge is the Ballists' evil messiah, a self-styled prophet of the end, blessed and cursed by his god in turn. His compulsions to murder are profane religious rites, both prayer and sacrifice, in Baal's
name.
And once you wrest control of his narrative, it still hinges around how he feels about Baal, how he engages with his father god, if and then how he maintains his faith. The Dark Urge is perverse, upsetting, and in defiance of good reason or good taste, but his existence is a deeply religious one. GORTASH's worship of Bane is rarely discussed within the game, as it doesn't quite hit the same timbre of Ketheric Orin or the Dark Urge's fanaticism. But we all need to accept that he is a devout Baneite. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, they just kind of acknowledge it and move on, but it's a bigger part of his life than we give credit to. Because in the depths of hell, he chose to worship the god of tyranny. As a man of no renown, he decided to independently re-establish Bane's church. Bane is the one he invokes for pacts, Bane is the one he prominently displays in his new quarters, and Bane is the one whose name he first reaches for when he profanes. GORTASH is more private in his worship, but it is Bane that has claimed this man's soul. And yet the majority of his story and imagery is devilish. Almost every major aspect of his life is either defined by or closely linked to the Hells. He was sold to a devil, he escaped said devil, He cuts a deal with one archdevil, he robs another. Even his steel watch are made of infernal iron and bellow hellfire. So much of the way he moves through the world is affected by his time in hell. From the way he carries himself, to the deals he cuts, to the treasures he hides by his bed, to the iconography adorning his clothes. At every turn, GORTASH is coded as diabolic. I don't have to explain why this is so good, right? Like, you get it now? They shouldn't get on. They are so contrary in so many ways. They should be repugnant to each other. The Dark Urge may be a strong ally, but he doesn't know what it's like to struggle. He doesn't know how it feels to make everything he's had. Meanwhile, GORTASH is borderline profaning the Dark Urge's faith every second. This man is obsessed with devils. Surely a zealous demigod like the Dark Urge would be offended at his mere presence, cavorting and negotiating with fiends at every turn. Not to mention, their ultimate goals are completely at odds. GORTASH wants to rule the world.
I want to lead this city to glory, not scorch its earth.
And the Dark Urge wants to kill it.
You are the end, the last creature living, with all else felled by your hand.
Sure, he'll make a tyrannical pit stop along the way, really exert his power and unholy grandeur upon all living things, but there is no uncertainty that the Dark Urge wants to kill by legions, bathing the world in red. That is his father's wishes, and he is nothing if not an obedient son. GORTASH isn't dumb. He knows this. He knows that once the Dark Urge gets the power he needs, GORTASH is going to be one of the first ones to drop. And yet he persists. At all turns, they both persist. GORTASH is trusting the Dark Urge to be a good and valuable ally, is trusting him to spare his life. Perhaps only until a future, undisclosed date, but he is trusting him nonetheless, giving him that power nonetheless. Because this is the thing about GORTASH. Despite everything that says he should seek singular, exceptional control over his life and his plans, the thing he is constantly seeking is partnership. He reaches out to the Dark Urge and establishes contact prior to their gods commanding they cooperate. He immediately offers to strike up a deal with the player character, which the game repeatedly insists is an honest and legitimate overture.
Shall we be allies?
I can detect no deceit.
He'll take anyone that proves worth his while, obviously, but it's clear that it's the Dark Urge he truly wants. He missed him. He's excited to hear he's alive. He's warm with him. The Dark Urge can never understand what GORTASH has gone through, has entirely different modes of interacting with his god, and will eventually be commanded by that god to kill him. And yet GORTASH persists. As does the Dark Urge. This is where we get the real conflict of the relationship. The thing that not only kicks off the plot in earnest, but also where we get the clear sense that these lovers, because that's what they are fated to be apart. There are repeat references to the Dark Urge being upset about this relationship, conflicted to the point of self-flagellation in the hopes of atoning to Baal.
We rule as the absolute.
The urge, the deplorably brutal urge, sickens within you. When you level the world over, that dead world must be yours alone.
He even writes the thing that haunts me in my quiet moments, the prayer of forgiveness. Forgive me, Father, for I cannot help but admire the chosen of your sworn foe. The Dark Urge is so down bad for a literal, filthy slaver that it makes him question his devotion to the Father God that lives in his brain. And no one likes this, okay? Let's make that so clear. No one likes these two being weird over in Baldur's Gate.
Good idea. And let's trust the fox to safeguard the chicken coop while we're at it.
Balthazar openly mocks the Dark Urge for his fixation on GORTASH. Kithric's so clearly sick of everyone and everything that there's no way that he's chill with these two being like that. And Orin was so mad that she tried to commit fratricide about it. These two should not be together. There are so many reasons why, so many obvious, easy explanations, and yet they choose to do it anyway. That is the reason I zeroed in on the power dynamics of this relationship, because they are deciding to come together and have something, no matter how ill-fated, no matter how short-lived, no matter how dangerous. The child of a jealous, violent god is condescending to consort with the devil-stained chosen of his sworn foe. And the consummate survivor is agreeing to show vulnerability with the deranged, compulsive killer. I can't call it healthy, I won't even consider the word wholesome, and I certainly can't say it's a complete, honest, and trusting relationship that'll last longer than a piece of tissue paper in the rain, but these two freaks are setting aside all of their baggage just to have each other. They are exchanging power and vulnerability and loyalty and risk for the sake of this. They just get each other, they missed each other, they keep choosing to work together, and I need to lay down. I'm not well about these guys. Enjoy your April 1st.